The abandoned cargo ship floated silently near the edge of a dying star system. Its hull was scarred from age and war, and most of its lights were dead. Only a few flickers of life glowed faintly beneath the cracked surface. Inside, a human engineer named Reyna moved carefully through the dark corridors. She was alone, at least. She thought she was. Reyna had taken the salvage contract, thinking it was a routine fix. Old cargo haulers weren't rare out here. They were slow, ugly, and mostly forgotten by larger corporations. But the pay was high, and she needed the credits. Her last job went badly. Her tool case had melted when a plasma line cracked in. She was behind on rent for her floating apartment above Mars. She adjusted her helmet and ran diagnostics through her wrist pad. The ship's core reactor was failing, and the secondary lines were tangled in a mess of outdated alien tech. It was strange. There were no records of this ship ever making alien contact. She frowned and leaned closer to inspect the conduit. A sound echoed down the corridor. It wasn't metal creaking. It was soft like footsteps, but lighter. Reyna stood still, her breath caught. The only signal she had picked up when boarding had been automated, a broken SOS loop that had played on repeat. She turned slowly, and there she saw it. At the far end of the corridor stood a tall figure, feminine in shape, skin like faintly glowing marble. Her eyes were wide and reflective, blinking with soft pulses of blue light. She wore what looked like a suit, smooth, metallic, but more alive than fabric. Reyna reached for her sidearm instinctively, but the figure raised an open palm. "No harm," the voice said, not through mouth, but through Reyna's earpiece. A translator was auto-engaging from her suit's emergency contact system. "You are a technician?" Reyna hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, I'm here to repair the core." "Who, are you?" The alien stepped closer, not threatening, more curious than anything. "Name is Keela. I was here when ship fell. My kind, left. I remained, to heal the bones." Reyna blinked. "Heal the ship?" "Yes," Keela said, eyes glowing gently. "She is not dead, just wounded." The choice of words was strange. Reyna's voice softened. "Why didn't I pick up a life signal?" Keela looked down. "Not all life gives signals. Mine is different." Reyna frowned. The translator worked, but the alien's words were poetic, like someone speaking through metaphor. "I need to reach the power relay," Reyna said, gesturing to the wall. "Without it, the ship can't wake." Keela tilted her head. "I know where it hides, but to touch it, I must change." Before Reyna could ask what she meant, Keela reached behind her neck and pressed 2 fingers against a silver node on her collar. The suit rippled, literally shimmered, then melted down her body like liquid silver. Beneath it, her skin sparkled, with bioluminescent lines, glowing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Reyna took a step back, stunned. Keela stood completely calm, unashamed. "This is how I repair," Keela said. "My body connects to systems. We become one." Reyna swallowed. "That's different. Humans don't work that way." Keela smiled gently. "But you build with mind and hand. You create. You solve. Different is not less." Reyna wasn't sure how to respond, but she found herself lowering her guard. The alien stepped toward the wall and placed her bare hand on the metal panel. Light flowed from her skin into the circuits. A pulse ran down the corridor, and the lights flickered on. The ship sighed, like a creature waking from sleep. Reyna stared in awe. "You're part of the system." "Yes," Keela said, "and now, so are you." Together, they moved through the corridor, human and alien, fixing the ship's dying heart. Reyna didn't know what she had just walked into boat. She knew one thing. This wasn't just a repair job anymore. It was the start of something neither of them could fully understand yet. The hallway lights now pulsed faintly, like the slow heartbeat of a living creature. Reyna moved beside Keela, still watching the alien's glowing skin with both wonder and disbelief. She had seen many strange things while working the outer system's gravity glitches, plasma storms, even a rogue AI, but never anything like this. Kella's touch didn't just restore power, it harmonized with the ship. As they walked, panels lit. Before her fingers reached them, doors opened without command, and wires reconnected themselves in subtle pulses of energy. Reyna checked her wrist pad again. The core's relays are still unstable. We'll need to recalibrate them manually. Kella glanced at her with glowing eyes. Yes, the old tech does not like my energy. It resists. Reyna nodded. It was built by humans long before we had knowledge of anyone like you. Kella stopped near a sealed panel. She placed both hands against it, and the wall slid open like breath against glass. Inside was the relay array, a mess of melted connectors and dead fuses. Reyna sighed. This should have been scrapped years ago. I will connect, Kella said calmly. But I need your guidance. Your machines are built of thought and purpose. I can only guess their logic. Reyna felt a small rush of pride. For all the alien's power, she still needed a human mind to understand human design. Okay? Start with that node red wire left, then black to grounding. As she instructed, Kella followed each step, her bioluminescent fingers weaving energy like threads of silk. Where Reyna's tools would have sparked or failed, Kella's touch revived. But as they worked, something shifted. A vibration moved through the floor, deep and distant. Reyna looked up. Did you feel that? Kella's glow dimmed slightly. Yes, a signal. Not from us. Reyna checked her scanner. A blip appeared, small, moving fast. A ship. Kella frowned. Something else. A drone, or a scout. Reyna's stomach tightened. Pirates use scouts. They sniff out salvage, then call in the raiders. We are not ready for fight, Kella said. The ship is still weak. Reyna looked back at the open conduit. Then we keep going. Fast. They worked side by side, Riona reconnecting old wires with practiced hands, Kella fusing broken lines with living light. For every stubborn bolt, Reyna loosened. Kella energized a dormant system. Slowly, the hum of the ship grew stronger. Reyna felt sweat on her brow. Her fingers were cramping, but she didn't stop. I don't even know why I'm pushing so hard, she muttered. This ship's junk. Why do I care? Kella paused and looked at her gently. Because it is yours. Your kind made it. You see it broken, and you wish to make it whole. Reyna blinked. She hadn't realized it, but Kella was right. Somewhere along the way, this stopped being about pay. It had become something personal. You're not so different from us, Reyna said, almost whispering. Kella smiled. We are different in body, not always in spirit. Just as they finished the last relay, the ship rumbled against. This time Reyna's scanner lit up with warning. It's not a drone anymore. A full ship. Pirates, inbound. How long? Kella asked. Reyna calculated. 12 minutes, maybe less. Then we finish what we can, Kella said firmly. Reyna nodded. There was no panic now, just resolve. She opened the access panel to the main power core. It glowed weakly, a flickering heart on the edge of collapse. Kella stepped forward and, without hesitation, pressed both glowing palms against the reactor housing. Light poured from her body, blue, green, gold, racing through the lines like 1,000 tiny stars. The ship trembled, not in fear, but in renewal. Reyna gasped. You're repairing it directly? My energy combined what was lost, Kella said through gritted teeth, but only if you stabilize the field. Reyna rushed to the control panel, fingers dancing over cracked keys. I can do it. Just hold steady. Kella closed her eyes, and her light intensified. The hum of the ship rose into a quiet roar. Power surged through the freighter like breath, returning to lungs long forgotten. When Reyna hit the final key, the core locked into place and burned with new light. It's online, she whispered. You did it. Kella's knees buckled, and Reyna caught her before she hit the floor. You okay? Kella's voice was faint but steady. Yes. But I need time to recover. The ship is alive again. But so is the threat. Reyna looked toward the star-flecked window, where a dark ship crept closer like a shark in the deep. This wasn't over. But now, they had power in each other, and Reyna wasn't about to let either go. The freighter's reactor thrummed like a heart newly awakened. Lights throughout the ship flickered to life, casting long shadows across the dark metal walls. Reyna helped Keela to her feet, the alien's glow now soft and dim. The connection to the ship had clearly drained her. You need to rest, Reyna said, guiding her toward a bench bolted to the wall. Keela shook her head. Later. First, we protect the ship. The threat outside grew closer with every second. Reyna checked her scanner again. The pirate ship was now within docking range. Sleek and jagged, it looked more like a weapon than a vessel. Its engines pulsed red, and its hull was covered in uneven armor plates scavenged from old battles. Reyna pulled up the internal defense protocols on her wrist pad. Some systems are back, but weapons are still offline. No shields either. I can make a barrier, Kella said softly. But not for long. Reyna paused. Like earlier, with your Bodhi. Kella nodded. It is part of my kind's survival. We project bioenergy. It bends attacks. But, it costs me. Reyna didn't like the sound of that. Then we don't rely on it, unless we have no choice. The ship trembled as the pirate vessel latched onto the hull with docking clamps. A loud clang echoed through the corridor. The enemy was here. Reyna drew the emergency plasma cutter from her tool belt. It wasn't a weapon, but it would do. She turned to Keela. Let's go. They moved fast, racing through the dim corridors toward the entry bay. As they reached it, the doors hissed open, and a trio of armored figures stepped through. There, faces were hidden behind cracked visors, voices filtered through static. Stand down, one of them barked. This salvage is pirate property now. Reyna raised the cutter. You're trespassing. This ship's under repair. The pirate laughed. Not anymore. Before he could take another step, a pulse of light slammed into the floor in front of him. Kella had raised her hand, a shimmering wave of energy expanding outward like ripples on a pond. The pirates staggered, their weapons shorting out briefly. From the surge, Reyna leaped forward and struck the lead pirate's arm, knocking his gun to the floor. The second one rushed her, but Kella's shield expanded, forcing him back. We can't hold them forever, Reyna shouted. We need the ships. Weapons. I know where the control is, Kella said. The bridge. Come. They turned and ran, the pirates shouting behind them, recovering quickly. Reyna ducked into a maintenance shaft, pulling Keela in behind her. They climbed through the cramped tunnel as plasma bolts hissed below. Keela's breathing was heavy now. Her skin flickered with faint light. My energy fades. We're close, Reyna said. Just hold on. They reached the bridge and slid into the control chamber. Dust coated the consoles, but power flickered on the screens. Reyna sat down and typed fast, fingers moving from muscle memory. I'm overriding weapons lockout. Kella moved to the center of the room, placing her hands on a smooth, black orb, embedded in the floor. I will connect to defense grid. Reyna paused. Can you do that without burning out? I must, Kella said calmly. Reyna didn't argue. She focused on the system. The turrets along the freighter's outer hull lit up one by one. Outside, the pirates had begun cutting into the ship with drills. Metal screamed as their tools pierced the freighter's walls. Reyna locked onto their vessel and fired. Twin blasts of energy slammed into the pirate ship's engines, disabling its mobility. The pirates inside shouted in panic. We hit them, Reyna said, but they're not leaving yet. Kella's voice trembled. Then we finish this. With one last pulse of energy, she sent a wave through the ship. The lights dimmed, then surged brighter than before. A blinding arc of power exploded from the freighter's outer shield, striking the pirate boarding clamps and severing their connection. The pirates, still inside, stumbled as the force of the blast hurled their ship away. Sirens blared as their vessel spun out of control, drifting helplessly into the darkness. Reyna collapsed back in her chair. They're retreating. Keela dropped to one knee, her glow nearly gone. Reyna rushed over. You didn't have to do that alone. Keela looked up. You guided the ship. I only gave it what it needed to fight. Reyna helped her up and looked out the viewport. The pirate ship was a fading shadow now. The freighter floated free. She turned to Keela. We just defended a ship with duct tape, an alien, and a dying reactor. Keela gave a tired smile, and it worked. Reyna looked at her. This strange and brilliant being who had appeared out of nowhere offered no threat, only aid. Why did you really stay behind on this ship, Keela? Keela's eyes softened. Because I believed someone would come. Someone with hands that could heal. And now, you have. The freighter no longer felt like a relic. It felt like the start of something powerful, something worth protecting. The silence after the battle was heavy, but not empty. The freighter floated peacefully, like a tired old beast that had survived one more fight. Inside the control room, Reyna checked the systems one by one. Power held steady. The reactor was stable. The pirates were gone. For now. She turned to Keela, who rested with her back against the console. The glow beneath her skin had dimmed to a faint shimmer, but her eyes were still alert. Reyna crouched beside her. You sure you're okay? Keela nodded slowly, tired, but whole. My energy will return. Reyna sat down and exhaled. Her muscles ached, and her brain buzzed from adrenaline and exhaustion. That was insane. Keela gave a faint smile. You were brilliant. Your hands guided the ship like a mind reborn. Reyna chuckled softly. You give me too much credit. It was both of us. There was a pause, quiet but warm. Then something caught Reyna's eye. The floor near the bridge terminal had a strange shimmer to it. A flicker of color that didn't belong. She leaned closer and tapped it with her gloved fingers. It felt warmer than the metal around it. Keela, she said, pointing. What is this? Keela stood, though her movement was slow. She stepped to Reyna's side and touched the shimmering spot with her bare palm. At her touch, the surface pulsed, and a thin seam appeared in the floor. It's a hidden panel, Keela whispered, older than the rest. The panel slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a compartment beneath the floor. Inside lay a crystalline data core, unlike anything Reyna had ever seen. It was shaped like a teardrop and glowed softly in a swirl of colors, blue, violet, and green. Reyna reached for it, but Keela stopped her gently. Wait, it is a memory core, she said. It may be sensitive. Reyna nodded and handed Keela a diagnostic reader. Scan it first. The scan pulsed. Then lines of alien text appeared on the reader's display symbols. Reyna didn't recognize, but Keela did. Her eyes widened. This is a historical imprint, she said. From before the collapse. Reyna blinked. Collapse. Keela nodded slowly. When your kind and mine first shared the stars, before it all fell silent. Reyna stared at the core in disbelief. You're saying this thing has proof real? Recorded proof of contact between humans and your species from before. Everything. Yes, Keela said, her voice soft with reverence. It holds stories, agreements, maps, technology. A forgotten alliance. Reyna picked it up carefully. The core was warm, like it was alive. Why hide it? Maybe someone wanted to protect it, or maybe they wanted it forgotten. Reyna stood. Either way, we're not leaving it here. Keela looked at her, then nodded. It is meant to be found. They took the cord to the main terminal and connected it to a translation system. Slowly, The data began to reveal itself images of human and alien scientists working side by side. Ships built together, star maps marked with shared colonies, and handwritten notes in Earth languages and alien script alike. Reyna's eyes were wide. This changes everything. It's not just some ancient history. This is proof that peace, real peace, was possible. Kella placed her glowing hand on the terminal. And it can be again. Reyna felt a strange emotion rise in her chest, something between pride and sorrow. My people don't know this. We think we were alone. That the first contact was always war or silence. Not always, Kella said. Once, there was trust. The ship lights flickered again, but not from damage. This time, the systems were adjusting, syncing with the core's new input. The freighter itself seemed to be waking up further, recognizing the long-lost connection. Kella looked around. There may be more hidden within. Reyna nodded. Then, we're not leaving until we find it. As they moved to explore deeper into the ship, Reyna paused at the entry to a corridor marked with faded alien symbols. She looked at Kella. Why were you here, really? Kella hesitated. Then, quietly, she said, because I was searching for this, for proof that the stories I was told as a child were true. Reyna smiled. Guess you found it. And you, Kella said, her voice softer than before. You weren't just the one to fix the ship. You were the one to open it. They moved side by side through the corridor, past broken consoles and collapsed beams. Somewhere ahead, the ship whispered secrets buried for decades. The danger had passed, but something bigger was unfolding now. Not just survival.discovery.end maybe, if they were brave enough. The data core's light pulsed steadily from the bridge console, filling the room with a glow that felt ancient and alive. Reyna stood beside it, her mind spinning with everything they had discovered. The hidden history, the broken alliance, and the truths buried in metal and silence. It was more than just technology. It was a key to something bigger. Kella sat quietly nearby, her glow faint but stable again. The connection to the ship, the battle with the pirates, the effort to unlock the truth, it had drained her. But now, something in her posture had changed. She looked grounded, complete. Reyna paced the room, chewing her lip. This changes everything. If people on Earth see what's in this core, they'll have to rethink our entire history with the stars. Kella nodded. And if my people see it, they'll remember what was lost. They stared at each other in the quiet hum of the bridge. The old freighter had become something else entirely, a living memory. A bridge between two species long separated by time and silence. Reyna turned back to the screen, scanning through pages of shared science, Choritan logs, and images of human and alien engineers working together. We have to get this home, she said. Kella rose slowly and moved beside her. But first, we must protect it. The ship's alert chimed softly. Another signal was approaching. Reyna's heart skipped. Please don't be pirates. Kella touched the console. No, this ship is clean. The signal is open. It's peaceful. Reyna checked the readout. A diplomatic vessel. Human origin. Modern. She couldn't believe her luck. They must have heard the emergency broadcast, Reyna said. Or maybe they picked up the flare. Either way, they're here. Kella smiled. Then the universe listens. They moved quickly. Reyna sent a docking code. The vessel responded with approval. Minutes later, the freighter trembled gently as the sleek silver craft attached to the airlock. The door opened, and a group of explorers stepped through, humans in sleek suits, marked with the Earth Unity emblem. A woman in front, sharp-eyed and calm, stepped forward. I'm Captain Riva. We received a distress call. Is anyone injured? Reyna stepped forward, glancing at Kella. We're okay now, but we've found something massive. Captain. Riva's gaze flicked to Kella, and her eyes widened slightly. She didn't speak immediately. Then she said, "That's not just something, that's someone. And if I'm not mistaken, she's from a species Earth hasn't officially spoken within decades." Keela stepped forward and bowed slightly. "I am Keela. I seek peace and truth," Reyna added. "We discovered a memory core. It proves our peoples once shared knowledge and worked together." Before the collapse, Riva's expression shifted from caution to intrigue. "Show me." They led her to the console. The data core pulsed as the screen displayed the Forgotten Alliance. Riva's breath caught. This changes everything," she whispered. Keela nodded. "It is time to remember." Riva looked at both of them. "If what you're saying is true, we have a responsibility. This needs to go to Earth's Science Council, and your people, too." "We can't bury this again," Reyna smiled. "That's what we hoped you'd say." Outside, the stars drifted quietly past the viewports. The ship was still old, still scarred, but it no longer felt like a wreck. It felt like a seed. Kella placed a hand on Reyna's shoulder. "Thank you. You saw me not as threat, but as partner." Reyna glanced at her, then grinned. "You weren't just part of the repair. You were the spark." Captain Riva nodded. "Both of you just made first contact." Again, the data core was secured inside the diplomatic vessel. As the freighter was prepped for towing, Reyna took one last walk through its corridors. She touched the wall lightly. "You did good, old girl," she whispered. "You held the truth until we were ready for it." Kella joined her. Together they stood in silence, listening to the gentle hum of the ship they had brought back to life. A new beginning was on the horizon, not just for two individuals, but for two civilizations.